Hello and welcome to the news. Your boy KChicktay going back to his roots because our topic today is roster drama. Wait, no, that's not true because we don't actually have any drama going on in our Dota 2 scene right now. So today's video is on the roster changes involving all the big teams coming to WESG Qualifiers taking place during the end of November this month. Now to preface this video, before I get into actual analysis of things, I will say I am doing these in order of power rankings. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our first team coming in ranked number 4 is none other than Aperture Gaming. APG is fielding a team comprised of Cloud, Fearbender, TKC, Bob Yules, and Reaper. Now this is an interesting team, and I think it's a team with a lot of potential, but in my opinion it has even more to prove. We got Cloud, who's been hitting above his weight for the large majority of the year, playing with XD, and now finally has a chance to play with guys more equal to his own skill. You have Fearbender and Reaper coming from Epoch, who have fielded mediocre results for most of the year. And you have TKC, who has bounced roles so many times during the end of last year to now, that we could make a team with 5 TKCs. And yeah, it's just a possible outcome just with how much he's changed. And of course, last but not least, we have our boy Bob Yules, who spent his last year in SA Dota washed up and flaming via podcast and one-sentence tweets. Now, memes aside, I do think this team has a lot of potential. I mean, if we look at how I think this team will function as just looking at it from the surface of things, I think you'll have Cloud as your big number 1 position. Fearbender playing that more sacrificial role in the mid lane, playing like the Necros and those kind of things, where he just takes one for the team and makes space for Cloud. Because if we look at the meta right now, what's the 3 best carries? Like Terrorblade, Phantom Lancer, Morphling, these super toxic, super hard agility carries. And that's exactly what Cloud likes to play, right? So you have one core making a lot of space for your other core who farms a lot and just effective with those heroes. And then you got TKC, who even in the offlane, he really likes those initiation heroes like Centaur, like Pucks, like Bat Riders. These heroes that actually go out there and do things. He can be very active with them, you know? So I think this team does have a good balance in that sense. Bob Yules is coming out of like a quote-unquote retirement, like SA retirement, I don't know. So he might be a bit rusty. He's also playing a new role. He was a long-time Pause 5 player for the old APG squad. And Reaper has been playing Pause 5 for Epoch for the most of the year, right? Nick was the Pause 4, so it's pretty standard stuff for him. So again, a lot of potential in this team, but I think until they actually do it, and as by do it, I mean beat some of the next teams I'm going to mention, then that's all this team has is potential. Like, they have to do it first, and then mean. So yeah, that's it for APG. Our next team is the complete opposite of the last because they are a team who have, in my opinion, nothing left to prove. And that team is Sinister 5 at number 3 in our rankings. Sinister 5 have just come off the back of winning Masters this year and now are competing in WESG with 2 new players. One being Schlinks and other a sub in the form of Game Reaper, who also happens to be Aghanim's brother. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this isn't the highest priority for them, this WESG qualifier, which is okay, all things considered. Because they just came back for the back of winning Masters. What more do they have to prove? You know what I mean? But I do think the Schlinks for Traxion change is a really interesting and really good change, in my opinion. I think Traxion was getting a lot of flack for most of the year, but he kind of shut up all the haters, so to speak, at Masters. He went above and beyond what we thought he was capable of, and he pulled his weight and more at Masters for them to, in turn, win the tournament, right? But overall, I think Schlinks is just a better player. Like, Schlinks, I think, is so good that if Lead Pro took Schlinks when they made the WRG Lead Pro swap thingy and booted one more of their players, probably ACG, so Jadawi could play offlane, I think they would have won Masters and been as good as they thought they actually were. You know what I mean? But they didn't. It's all history now. And WRG, I mean, Sinister 5 find themselves with Schlinks in their hands, which is, I think, is a great transfer. I can't emphasize that anymore. Also, I want to say how this move happened is like such a wholesome situation, right? Because for those of you who don't know, Sin 5 and Schlinks have been in talks for a large majority of this year, like going back in the middle of the year, maybe even earlier than that, before, for all I know. And it wasn't a case of, okay, Sinister 5, we want you, Schlinks, leave your team, we're going to kick this guy, you come there now, like, or other SA transfer happens. It was like, okay, we have commitments to our players on the side of Sinister 5, we know you have commitments on the side of WRG. Schlinks was, yes, I do have commitments, we're going to play out this year with our current setups on both sides, and then at the end of the new year, when the season ends, we're going to try come together and make this thing work. And that's what happened. That's such a respectable way for a transfer to happen, and I wish we see more of that in SA Dota. Will we see more of that? I highly doubt it, but I hope we see more of that. And now I'm not going to harp too much about how I think the Sinister 5 will play or anything, because it's probably going to be the same as they usually play, just with a couple of new players. I think this WESG, I'm not even going to put them that high on my list because they're playing with a sub, right? Game Reaper is a good player, whatever, see him in SA Bubs, but he's not a caliber of player that I would say needs to be in the Sinister 5 team, and it is just a temporary sub. Hopefully he does well in the team. It'll be good to see a new blood in the scene as well. But yeah, Sinister 5, I leave them at number 3 in my power rankings. That's where I see them. I don't see them as serious competitors to win the event. Our number 2 team for the list is Goliath Gaming. Now, Goliath have made a whopping 3 changes to their roster, and I can honestly say I'm happy with all of them. The players who are out of the team are Jappa, Koda, and Sticklish. The guys who have come in are ACG, RDK, and Traxion. Now, let's start off with the first change. Jappa for ACG. Now, Jappa was a good player. He loved to play these lane-dominating heroes like, Monkey King, Venom Monster, heroes where you can just go to lane, Enchantress, where you can just go to lane, wreck the opponent, and become like a carry himself. He's very good at that, but the problem with Jappa is that's the only way he knows how to play. Go back to the XD days, it was a similar thing. That offlane meta with the shinies, just to play Abaddon, go wreck lanes, that kind of vibe. That's how Jappa plays. He just likes to win his lane and then snowball off that. The problem is you can never always have that game as an offlaner. Like, you can sometimes, but not every game, and that's where Jappa's weakness is. So him swapped out for ACG, I think, is a good swap for side of Goliath Gaming. ACG, it was pretty good, and I thought it was a pretty good offlaner for Lead Pro, and then obviously Lead Pro didn't think so, making him play pause 4 at the end of the tournament. But I think he's a lot more versatile than Jappa. I think it's a good change for the team. Traxion and Mental swap, or Traxion for Sticklish swap rather. Traxion playing the pause 4 now, and Mental's playing pause 5. I find this an odd swap as well, because Traxion and Mental kind of played like the same role, right? They both played like pause 4, but like with all these weird like carry heroes in their pause 4. So it's kind of funny that you have two players playing the same way, but Mental has moved to pause 5, Traxion will be playing pause 4. Traxion has proved himself at Masters now. I think all his doubters kind of got shut up there. So I think it is a good change as well. Sticklish did make a lot of improvements last year, but maybe not as good enough to be in this Goliath Gaming team anymore. And lastly, we got RDK in for Koda. Now, this is the change I want to talk about, because I want to talk about SA carries and Masters in general, right? I think to explain best, we go to LGD and explain from there. So in LGD, very basically, you have 4 players doing things. Ame off by himself farming, hits a certain stage in the game, Ame comes out, Ame carries the game. Seems like a simple plan, but it really isn't. You need 4 players doing the right things to enable that, and you also need a carry player who doesn't make mistakes. In my opinion, that's Ame's biggest strength, is that he's a carry player that doesn't really make many mistakes. Now we come back to SA, and I think all our carry players at Masters, look at RDK, we look at Odu, we look at Koda, and mistakes were there by the many. Now, I'm not saying these guys are bad players by any means, but I'm just saying when you're a carry player and you make a mistake, one bad mistake can cost you the game. That's just the sad reality of the thing. So, Koda was a player, in my opinion, who made a lot of mistakes. RDK made his fair share of mistakes as well, but I think he's just a better player, so he has more room to do that. My biggest issue with Koda, though, in particular, was that his itemization was really bad. Like, a lot of games I'd be watching and it's like, okay, Koda, you 4-0, I know you're doing well in this game. Like, games I was casting it. Buy a BKB. Doesn't buy a BKB, he tries to go for other items, he dies twice, and he's like, okay, I think I need a BKB. Yeah, that's what I was saying in the cast 5 minutes ago, friend. So yeah, I think that's a good change. Koda also played pretty decently last year, but I think RDK for him is a fair change. I think the team will still run around the Muzzy show. Like, I think Muzzy's still the main man to play around here. It could be different now that he has better players around him, but I still don't see why that should change. I think the Muzzy, big, like, true carry of the team formula worked really well with Goliath, so I don't see why they should change. I still think he's the best player in this team. That's it for Goliath Gaming. I think they are our number 2 team on the list. I think they're the second best team coming into the tournament for sure. But are they good enough to beat the number 1 team? And our number 1 team is none other than Lead Pro. Now I'm going to let you look at the names on the list I have here on the side, and you can figure out that by yourself. I mean, you got 3 7k plus players in the form of Castaway, Walp, and Frank. You have Deppy, who's 6.5k, and your last player who's not that high MMR is Chidawi. So clearly, this team has a caliber of players that's just much better than the rest of SA, right? It is. But I will add that this is not the team they're actually going to play the South African games with, because Castaway is still in C. That's why I have his name oranged out there. And they will be using Strike as the replacement. Now, the lineup with Strike does look a little different, and it kind of has to, because like I said, Castaway is in C, so his minimum ping is going to get to SA server is at best 300 ping, and that's even for Castaway unplayable. So for the SA games, the thinking is they'll use Strike, and for the main event, they will bring Castaway back in, assuming they win the thing. And then also, if they're playing against the North African team, because that's what the Dota 2 teams have to do, they have to beat the North African team to win our slot in China to play this year. So if that game's on EU, they will use Castaway there as well. Now, the actual difference in the lineup, I think mainly is that Walp is playing carry instead of pause 5, yes, because that's what Strike's role is. So Walp at pause 1, I mean, it's sad that Castaway is not here, right? But the fact that Walp gets to play pause 1 again is also like 5 out of 7 stuff, because again, he's by far the best carry in South Africa. Like, if you speak to his teammates or any member in the community and ask them who's the best player, despite Castaway being overseas, Frank made the movie of overseas, everybody still just says Walp, because he's on another level, man. This guy is something else. Like, at the Ballistics LAN because it's like a really small LAN and stuff. I went to go sit behind Elite Bro and watch them play a game, and listening just to the way Welp communicates with his team, and like he's like a true captain. The calls he makes, the way he reads the game, it's insane. So yeah, it's nice to see him back on carry, his natural role, I would say, but he is trying to make it as a pause 5. So it is just a temporary fix. When Travis comes back, if they win the main event, the qualifier to make it the main event, he will be playing there. So yeah, that's League Pro team. For me, this League Pro team is the favorites to win this WESG qualifier. But then again, we look back, what happened the last time when Filthy Frank was my favorite to win the WESG qualifier, huh? So that's my take on the 4 best teams heading into WESG 2019 qualifiers in South Africa. If you enjoyed the video, find me at KChicktay on Twitter. And if you want to keep up with the latest esports news and content, head over to esportscentral.co.za or on Twitter at esportscentrl and Facebook at esportscentralza. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you and goodbye.